What's going on, everybody? So today we are doing part 2 to the reviewing winter beater cars throughout my friend group. Today we're going to be doing my 2010 Mitsubishi Lancer. Nothing too crazy about it, so let's just jump right into it. Actually, before we start the video, I just want you guys to keep in mind that everything that I'm reviewing is these cars individually, not the make or model, but our cars, what we've done to them, what they came with, this specific car. So anything that's like, when we did the Volvo's video last week, link will be in the description below, but when we did the Volvo's video, Kale's car came with the aftermarket Bluetooth double din screen. That is included because it is part of his specific car, and anything I'm reviewing with this car will be anything that's actually on the car right now. So let's get into it. So this is my 2010 Mitsubishi Lancer manual 2.0 liter, I believe it's the ES model. First getting the car, there's really no problem with it other than the mileage being a little bit high at 270, 280 I believe I picked it up at. There's pretty much nothing wrong with the car other than some paint chips and some exterior details, a little bit of clear coat fading on the front. The wheels came aftermarket. It honestly was a great deal for what I got it for. I needed a car really quickly. As you guys know, my Lancer or my G35 blew up, so I needed a car as fast as possible, and finding this was an amazing price. The guy that was selling it was asking $3,200. I got it down to $2,700, and honestly it's been perfect since. Came with a Borla exhaust on it with an exhaust leak, so that was kind of one of the only mechanical issues. That's pretty much it, honestly. To get safety, I believe I needed a tie rod and to get that exhaust leak fixed, but it kind of blew off again, so that's the only problems with the car that I had, other than some exterior things like dents in the, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a couple dents in the side. No actual issues with the car. The winter tires on it are pretty bald, so that's a big issue for driving in Canada because the roads do get extremely slippery, and getting out of like snowy areas is extremely hard because I lose traction. So that's pretty much it for the exterior. Let's go inside and I can talk about the rest of the car. So in Canada, winter cars are necessary if you like cars, just because you want to keep your summer car as pristine as possible, and the weather that you'll have to go through in Canada is pretty brutal. The winter, the salt on the road and all of the snow will pretty much dissolve your car away in a couple years. The rust and the rotting will build up faster than you'd expect. So I'm doing this series just to pretty much give you an idea of why my friends and I all picked the cars that we have. We're giving you different options and a review just so maybe it can help you pick your winter car for the future. I know it's a little bit late in the season. I'm filming this in February, so the winter season is pretty much over, but maybe in the future, if you do pick up a winter car, any of these tips will help you out. When you're looking for a winter car, you want to find something that is going to be reliable. Owning a winter car is pretty expensive, considering you have to double all of the maintenance that you would do on your summer car as well. You have to do twice the oil changes, you have to do the air filter, stuff like that. All the maintenance you're going to have to do often, on top of whatever breaks and whatever actual mechanical issues you have that you have to get fixed. So when you're looking for a winter car, you want to find something that has ABS. ABS is a big thing. The anti-braking system will just help you be able to steer if you're sliding, which does happen quite a bit. You want to find something with preferably heated seats. Heated seats, they're nice to have in the winter. It's a small luxury, but it does go a long way. You want to make sure the heat works, you want to make sure all the features in the car work, and you just want to be happy with what you're driving, because you are going to be driving this car for 6 months almost out of the year, just as much as you'll be driving your summer car. So make sure you get something you do enjoy driving, or at least can get by, and don't want to pretty much throw it in the ditch every single day. So getting on with the Lancer, after 2 months or so of owning this car, I honestly think it's a decent car. I haven't had any reliability issues with it, other than when I first safetied it, I got the tie rod done, and that's about it. Everything's been perfectly fine for me. I enjoy driving the manual in the winter. That is a big thing. You have to decide whether you want to drive it in the winter or just automatic, because a lot of people think it's easier or harder to drive manual. I personally think it's better for me. In a manual, I feel like I have more control. Off a light or a stop sign, I do feel like I slide a little bit more, because you pretty much have to work the clutch a little bit better. But in an automatic, when you're starting, it's no problem. But when it changes gears, if you're ever trying to speed up, I feel like I break traction easier in an automatic than I do in a manual. Once I hit third or fourth gear, I know I'm pretty much, I got traction unless something happens, like I hit a patch of ice, but I pretty much know I have traction for the rest of the drive, or the rest of that lane before I start again, if I'm in third or fourth gear. So in manual, in my opinion, I feel like I have more control over it. I don't feel like I slip that much if my tires were better. Don't feel like I slipped that much in the winter, so honestly, I would recommend you try out both, figure out what you enjoy driving, because it is a lot more tedious, but once you get the hang of it, I feel like you have more control over the car, and I prefer it. So this Lancer is a 2-liter inline 4 with 152 horsepower and 146 foot-pounds of torque. So really there's no crazy power going on, so it should be pretty decent for traction. And all in all, it's not bad when you take out the variable of the tires being pretty much bald, but I'm going to have to change that in the future anyway. So I got the front-wheel drive manual version with some pretty good gas mileage at 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Sorry, I don't know what that is in miles per gallon, but honestly, you're going to want to find something with decent gas mileage. Kale's Volvo, again in the last video, has horrible gas mileage and pays quite a bit for it because he has to pay premium. This, I get a decent mileage, especially if I'm on the highway commuting to school and back. But if I'm on the highway, I'm making 7.4 liters per 100 kilometers, and in town I'm at 8 to 9. So honestly, it is good to not pay so much for fuel, because again, the cars do get expensive when you have to pay for two different cars. So you want to try and save money where you can. Getting a car with decent gas mileage just means you have more money to save to put into your summer car. So I would recommend finding something with decent gas mileage. That's the one of the number one reasons I bought this car exactly. So the pros and cons. The pros for this car is it's honestly reliable. I wouldn't say I've had any problems with it, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to have any problems with it in the future. It's front wheel drive, which is not as bad as rear wheel depending on the situation, but it's not as good as all-wheel drive, which is preferred because you have more traction and more grip. So for the pros and cons list, I honestly can say this car has been reliable enough where I would put it as a pro. Haven't had any problems with it, and honestly I hope that I'm not going to have any problems with the future. The season's almost over and I just want to get into my other car. That's probably the number one pro. Another one that is manual. I am extremely happy that I got manual again. This was my first winter driving manual and I love it. So I'm happy with that. There's low torque in the car, which means there's less slipping, more chance to catch traction, especially on like icy or snowy roads. This car does have ABS. Always nice to have, just to stop you from sliding straight into someone. It at least helps you steer when you're sliding. So that's nice. And it does have heat and heated seats, which is an absolute blessing because you need to stay warm, especially when it's hitting minus 26 some days, minus 30 with the wind chill and all that. You want to stay warm in the car. So it's perfect. The last and big pro that you want to look for is make sure you're getting a car that you don't mind getting damaged or beaten up with all the weather and all the problems and hazards that could go on in the winter. Find something you don't care too much if it gets beaten up. Driving a beater in the winter car is probably one of the biggest necessities, just because there is a lot of hazards that are on the road. The ice is a big one. You could ditch your car quite a bit. You could rear end someone could hit you. Ice, it does happen quite a bit. Plus with all the ice and snow that gets kicked up, it might cause dents and scratches and chips in your paint, which you shouldn't have to worry about that much. Having a beater car is also really nice because you don't have to feel like you have to baby it so much. On my summer car, I wash it probably 3 times a week because I want it to stay perfect. This I've washed twice in the last 3 months. So you don't have to care for it as much. If you want it to last, of course, take care of it, but at the same time, it is your beater car, and it's nice just to have that mentality of, whatever, let's leave it alone. So the cons for this list are, the number one is the bad tires, because my tires are at, I believe, 530 seconds, which is pretty much the end of its life. 330 seconds usually when you should replace them, 3 to 4. So next season, I'm probably going to have to get new tires, or else I'm just going to be slipping and sliding more than I am already on the road. So that's pretty much a big one you do want to look out for if you're getting a winter car. Make sure you get decent tires. Another one is the front wheel drive aspect of the car. Front wheel drive is hard for the winter, same with rear wheel, just because you're either going to understeer with front wheel drive or oversteer with rear wheel. If you're trying to turn a corner and you're sliding, your front end's just going to keep going, and in a rear wheel, once you start turning the corner, your back end's going to kick out. The ideal thing to look for would be an all-wheel drive or even four-wheel drive car or a truck. That way you get the most amount of traction possible with all four wheels trying to spin at once. And honestly, it's a lot more fun driving a four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive car in the winter. My G35 was all-wheel as well, and I had a lot of fun with it. You feel safer, you don't slip out as much. It's just, all in all, I would look for one if you have the opportunity to get an all-wheel drive car. So some of the features I do have in this car are the heated seats, the ABS, the heat in general. The wipers do have an auto function where if you just click the wiper arm, it'll spray and it'll make sure it cleans off your entire windshield. I'll show you that right now, actually. And as well, I have a Bluetooth receiver in the car. Just from getting this thing for 20 bucks, I now have Bluetooth in the car. It just connects straight to the FM channel on your car. It's just called an FM transmitter, but it's nice to have. I can listen to my own music because my phone doesn't have an aux cord, nor does the car have an input for it, I don't believe. So overall, my ratings for this car, for reliability, I'm giving it an 8. Just because it hasn't had any problems, and honestly, I hope it stays that way. Other than the few things I had to fix up for safety, this car has been beautiful. So reliability, I'm giving it an 8. For traction, because of my bad tires, I'm giving it a 4. Again, this is car specific. I can't tell you if all Mitsubishi Lancers are like this, but for my car, I'm giving it a 4, just because I do slip and slide, and I can never get off of like snowy roads. It takes a long time. For comfort, I'm giving it a 5 because the seats, they're not bad, but I wouldn't say they're very comfortable. I couldn't go for more than a couple hours in this car, as the seats do get very uncomfortable. They don't have any lumbar supports for me to adjust, so my back starts to hurt. The drive isn't extremely smooth. I don't know if that's just because of whatever with the exhaust, but the drive's not extremely smooth and comfortable, so I'm giving it a 4. Sorry, I'm giving it a 5, not a 4. I'm giving it a 5. For features, because this car pretty much only has the Bluetooth feature and the heat and ABS on it, I'm going to give it a 4. There's really nothing crazy to it, other than the nice factor of the auto wiping wipers. That's pretty much the main thing. When it gets dirty, just clear it off. That's pretty much the one feature that I would say stands out between most cars. So I'm going to give for features, I'm going to give it a 4. Last but not least, for fun factor, I'm going to give it a 5, just because this car, there's no power, but it does have a working e-brake and winter roads, so it is very fun to drift around as much as I can. The only problem is the car is very light, so I'm not able to actually swing it out as hard as I'd like to without quite a bit of speed backing it up. So for fun factor, I'm going to give it a 5, as there's really nothing outstanding about the car, but it's not a bad car to drive all in all. It does have the manual, and it can slide out reasonably well with the e-brake, so I'm going to give fun factor a 5. So I believe that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please leave a like, as it does help me out a lot. And if you want to see more of my content, please feel free to subscribe, as again, it does help me out a lot. If you're liking the series, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm enjoying doing them and I'm excited for more cars in the future. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.